I've made those mistakes through the journey of, investing in the wrong things, taking the wrong approach, not seeking out the right advice, and not having access to those opportunities.
Welcome to the Next Level Income Show, where it's our goal to take your income, your investments, and your life to the next level. I'm your host, Chris Larson. If you haven't yet, get a copy of our book for free at our website, nextlevelincome.com. That's www.nextlevelincome.com. Just click on the book link, and I'll even send you a copy if you put your address in. On today's show, we have Derek Peterson. After graduating with a degree in marketing, Derek headed into big corporate. Quickly moving up the ranks with companies such as ADP, Covidien, and Allergan, he amassed key learnings, though he felt his ability to influence necessary change was caged. So he made a career and life-altering decision to go out on his own. He adapted. From 2012 until today, Derek has founded and ran 3 highly successful organizations in the medical field. Over the years, his companies have scaled national sales teams to exceed 2,500 individuals. He's developed cutting-edge software, and he's disrupted an entire industry that desperately needed it. Through both personal and professional journeys, Derek has become fascinated and committed to helping businesses and people execute the change needed to grow and thrive. And after leaving corporate America, he started the Adapt brand, focused on helping others become the most informed and best version of themselves in the areas of health and wealth. Derek also founded and serves as CEO of Adapt Media Agency, a full-service digital marketing agency that serves hundreds of international brands. Derek, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure, man. Happy to be on.
Yeah, likewise, man. So there are so many things we can talk about today, Derek. I mentioned a little bit of it. People that are kind of in the know in the intro will realize that you have a background in medical devices as well. And, I think we have a lot of people listening that, have been in the medical field or the medical device field. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about, kind of your prior life in that before you started out with Adapt.
Yeah. So the prior life, man, it's funny. It seems like so long ago that was actually a thing. So, but yeah, you and I, it was funny when we first met. I didn't realize we shared in this commonality and that we both were in sort of the medical device space. So mine was, after exiting college, had a degree in marketing management, went into software sales or for a company called Automatic Data Processing, selling payroll for like 7 years,
ADP.
like Enterprise Rent a Car and good old ADP, right? Paychecks. Those were the places that would take young blonde out of college and turn you into a sales machine, but you'd step up. And eventually the idea and the goal was to end up in OR medical device sales. So that was, that was my dream. That was where I would be. And, I went through the typical pathways and got that job. I think my first job was at the time it was called US Surgical. It's now Covidien, which I think is now Medtronic. I mean, it's been bought like 10 times.
Yeah, Medtronic. Medtronic acquired it when I was there with them. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even realize you worked for the same company too.
Yeah.
So I sold all the devices that was used for gastric bypass surgery. So all the stomach stillers and trocars and all that stuff. Did that for about 3 years, then went to work for a company selling I think I was there 7 years old, acellular dermal matrices. So it was stuff used, they're biologics that were used for complex abdominal wall reconstructions and breast reconstruction. So I did that for a few years. Then went to a startup because I figured I'd get rich on stock options. That didn't happen. So I said, you know what, the heck with this. I've got so many great relationships. I'm going to open my own medical distribution company. And that's when I sort of exited out of corporate America into doing my own thing. Now, while I was in the same space, it was still in healthcare. I was on my own, right? I was my first entrepreneurial venture, but I cut my teeth in the corporate world for many, 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 many years. So guys, I can't believe I just did the memories, Chris, just from thinking of all those years, all those meetings. Yeah, I do not miss it.
No, it's people ask me that.
I don't miss it at all.
Yeah, people say, "Oh, do you miss it?" I mean, look, I miss the people. There's a lot, as you know, like you're still involved with a lot of people from the space, and it's great.
Best buddies there.
Yeah, there's just a message on LinkedIn today from one of my best reps that I hired, and he had a little shout out up there because he just got this big award, and it's neat, But man, I don't miss those days and nights, and I don't know how much call you were on, but I was on call a lot. But one of the things I used to say, Derek, to the reps I trained, I'd say, hey, if you want to be successful in this business, you need to live like a professional athlete. Like you need to treat your body like a professional athlete. Because I think one thing that a lot of people miss they're like, oh, like I can basically, treat my body however I want, and I can still perform in business or life or whatever it is. And this is one of the things that, we kind of came to find very quickly, is that we both share a passion for health. So I'd love for you to share more about this, because when I talk about goals, like people that are going through my course, they see, wait a minute, there's these 4 areas of life that we set goals in. And most people think, oh, it's financial, right, Chris? Like, this is what we're talking about, passive income and all these things. No, it's health. It's health. And I feel like you're the same way, Derek. So why is health such a priority to you, and why do you have one of your businesses that revolves around this?
So what the question I would ask the people who were thinking the same thing is like,
Yeah,
what good is your wealth if you don't have your health, right? What good
absolutely.
is all this
Yeah,
money that you're trying to acquire through your businesses, your passive income opportunities, if you really all it's doing is padding a bank account that you don't have the opportunity to go out and
yeah,
apply it to, what makes you happy, right? And I completely agree with you. If you want to operate at a high level, if you want to be able to, whether it's in the corporate world, ascending the corporate ladder, or in your own business, it's a race, an endurance event, right? So every day you get up and it's mini sprints and it's a marathon to really kind of get to your goals, and that takes energy, right? And that energy's got to come from somewhere. And I think we live in a society today where it's weird. If you eat healthy, considered you're dieting. And I'm like, no, that's actually what you're just supposed to do. Right.
yeah, right.
So and it's one of these things where people don't realize, because it's come so normal, Chris, to not exercise, to just eat the standard American diet. And we wonder why we have the highest rates of disease and sickness in the United States, where we also have the most advanced healthcare in the world. I'm like, that doesn't really add up. So it's not making a lot of sense there, is it? So when I was in corporate America, I've always been an athlete, right? Much like yourself, somebody that's always made fitness a priority. But I wanted to take my business to the next level in the
Yeah,
corporate world. So I decided to take my fitness to the next level. I
love
felt
it.
there was a correlation, right?
Absolutely.
So notice how I'm next level. That's not, as a marketing guy, make sure to slide those words in.
I
So
like this. You can come back on the show. You're already reinvited.
So what I did is I decided, I was always like the traditional sports guy, right? Baseball, basketball, football growing up, playing sports in high school and in college. And I said, you know what? I want to get into endurance sports, right? If I'm going to be a true athlete, I saw the Iron Man on TV, the
Yeah,
Kona, and it's the
yeah.
guy got the deep voice, kind of like you do with your under the weather voice right now. And
Oh,
it
it's the
got me
beard.
all
It's the beard. I grow the
it's
beard. The voice gets deeper. We talked about this.
we did. I need to step my beard game up. Um, so I got into the sport of endurance racing. So I started with a
Yeah.
5K, and over
That's not
over time
endurance.
that
I'm
just
joking. I'm messing with you.
it was when you're a guy that never ran, right? So
Like I
and it
ran around the
wasn't
bases, Chris. 5K is a long way. Give you a break.
exactly. I was a wide receiver. We ran for like 10, 12 seconds. That was it. So that said, I wanted to really challenge myself, and so I went from 5K to Ironman in a year, and
Oh, that's awesome.
and
Yeah.
and it just unlocks this human being inside of me that I didn't know existed from a fitness perspective. Because the commitment, as you know, being an endurance athlete, it goes into not just completing an Ironman, but I wanted to compete, right? There's a difference between a completer and a competer. So I wanted to
Absolutely.
compete at a level and take it to a whole new sphere and really get into the space. So over the course of about 6 to 7 years, I did six distance Ironmans,
Awesome.
probably another 20, 25 half Ironmans, too many marathons and sprints to count, but all in all, 100 plus races. And it was my life, outside of my family and my business. And what happened is you sort of create this discipline in your fitness, right? That provided me the energy and the structure to be able to apply it to my business practices, and everything went up. And I exited corporate America with that mindset and discipline of being an endurance athlete, and applied it to that business, and it just took off. So but the big thing is we always talk about only having so much time during the day.
Right.
And that's true, right? We also only have so much energy. And
Energy.
if we don't manage that, if we don't have that energy, that intensity, right? Then we're going to get the reciprocal results.
Yeah. No, I think it's beautiful the way you said that. And I think whether you're any kind of athlete, it doesn't have to be endurance, whether you're endurance or you're, playing a sport like you're saying, football, or my boys, their primary sport's lacrosse. I always love working with athletes because I think there's a few things you learn. You learn to make a plan. Hey, we're going to, especially for the Ironman, right? You've got to set that plan over a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be disciplined enough to stick to that plan. But you also have to have the delayed gratification to know that the work you put in is not going to come to fruition for months or sometimes years. Like you look at these Olympic athletes. And the other thing I like is that if you look at people that are successful, that are playing sports and that have other things going on in your life, you have to be very efficient. So if you can take that, turn down the athletic endeavors where you optimize. So I'm curious about you in this, but if you turn that down, you can jack your energy up and increase your performance by pulling these levers down and up. So what I did, instead of training 7 days a week for 10 or 15 hours, I went to training 5 days a week for 5 to 7 hours. And I found my energy just exploded. My productivity exploded. I didn't get sick anymore. You might be joking around. I don't feel sick right now. I just sound sick. But what, as you've evolved now, Derek, into more of entrepreneur, you're running multiple businesses, your family's gotten older. Are you still spending a lot of time competing? How have you adjusted your schedule from a competitive perspective, and what are you optimizing now in your life?
Yeah. So when I was in corporate America, I actually had more time. Right. Yeah. So it's
funny how that works, right?
Isn't it? Yeah. So while I said a minute ago, I would never go back to corporate America, where for many years I was making more money there. I had, all the health insurance provided me, a car, and I had, trips and all this stuff. It would seem on its surface that seemed a better deal. And I didn't work as hard, right? Because you would just, how it was, you get your relationships. And so I could go on a 4-hour bike ride on a Tuesday. I have 4 minutes for lunch today, right? That's how my day's going. So when it comes to, being able to be a long distance or an athlete right now, I've certainly dialed it back. I mean, I've checked that box, my competitive box, in terms of I've been there, done that. I got the t-shirts and the medals. I showed you some, right? So
yeah, they're right over there for everybody watching.
Yeah, they're right over there. So it is a part of me. It's important to me, but staying fit at the highest level can be achieved in many different ways, right? Some would argue Ironman distance triathlon is actually almost to the point where it's not healthy, right?
Oh, no way is it healthy. It's like Tour de France style. It's not healthy. No.
Yeah. There's nothing healthy about it. But I had convinced myself, Chris, that it was. And but it did some damage to me. Actually, the food that I was putting in my body, because the calories I had to eat actually did damage to me long term. It's a whole nother story, but it almost killed me. That I had to go and completely come back for. I had full blown autoimmune.
Okay, well, that's a whole nother story, but let's talk about that. Like, what happened?
Yeah. So what happened was, when you're an endurance athlete training, 22 hours a week, some days I would have to eat 8,000 calories.
Yeah.
So you can't eat 6,000 to 8,000 calories clean. You just can't. It's just
it's a lot of all vegetables, all protein, healthy fats. It's just the bulk isn't. Yeah,
it's too much, right? So this was years ago, where the theory was a calorie is a calorie, right? It doesn't matter, I don't know any better. And I was getting most of my calories from things that were probably sugar based, and all the drinks and goos, a lot of gluten and a lot of dairy. And again, I felt fine on the outside. I was shredded. I was fit. I was running 6-minute miles, but on the inside, I didn't realize I was killing myself. So what happened was total inflammation, right? So we all have a glass, right, that we can only put so much inflammation in. Eventually it flows over and it manifests.
That's a beer glass, Derek, just for the record.
It is actually is a beer glass. It's a story behind that one too, but there's water for those who are listening. So when it spills over in the form of, cancer, autoimmune,
Yeah.
heart
Yeah.
disease, right? So I was dished with autoimmune, right? And what happened was in
Oh.
2019, all of a sudden started having these pains in my neck. And I was like, oh, it must be my pillow, must be a mattress, bought a new mattress, started seeing a different chiropractor, and I couldn't get it to go away. And it started to, over time, matriculate my body into my middle spine, my shoulders, my hips. I had to stop swimming. I had to stop cycling. I had to stop running. I started to atrophy because my muscles and my shoulders were so inflamed that under an MRI, it looked like I needed surgery. So I scheduled for shoulder surgery. Every 2 weeks, I was getting fluid drained from my knees. I'm talking like big things and syringes of fluid because I couldn't even bend my knees to get my socks on. My shoulders were so inflamed and impinged, I couldn't wash my own hair. I had to have
Mm.
my wife wash my hair. I couldn't get my hands on top of my head. So, and then the worst part was that unless I was on anti-inflammatories, which was like Advil mainly,
Yeah.
I couldn't walk. So I slowly degraded
Wow.
over the course of a year from being a 6-time Ironman athlete to using crutches to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I went from 185 pounds at 6 foot to 150.
Wow.
And everyone around me was like, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You should go see a medical doctor." And I'm like, "I have." And they keep wanting to put pills and needles. And I was like, "I don't think that's what's going on here." I'm like, everything can't be wrong. So, to make a long story short, I discovered that I had severe leaky gut from all the crap that I ate in the standard American diet that I could eat, Chris, because I was
You could
working
burn
out
it
a
up.
lot.
Yeah.
I burn it right up, right? But we don't realize is what it's doing to your insides. And it didn't happen overnight, right? One milk it's not going to kill you, right? Same with one cigarette's not going to kill you, but it's the compounding effects of all those over time. So
Yeah.
I went completely rogue on everything. Realized that it was my gut because I had no gut issues. I wasn't having like
Wow.
gas or any types of issues.
Yeah.
And it was a chiropractor who's now my business partner at
Dr.
both my
Lerner.
health and
Yeah.
wealth, Dr. Lerner, who
Yeah.
said, "We're going to get you fixed." So he put me on a regimen of completely different diet. We did a 5-day water only fast just to get everything out of me. And then I changed my diet. And over the course of it took about a year.
Yeah. Got to heal.
Over the course of a year, that 2 surgeries I was scheduled for canceled.
Awesome.
All the weight came back, all the strength came back. And I can tell you now at 47-year-old, who raced at the highest level, I'm the fastest, strongest than I've ever been. And I attribute it all to making health priority in a natural way by mainly removing every toxin from my life, from the water I drink to the air I breathe, and changing my diet. And if you like you talked about a second ago, immediate gratification, that Ironman mentality of being able to stick it out. It was a lot easier for me because to take a pill, take a
Sure.
take a
Sure.
needle, to be able to
Especially when you have a doctor handing you one and saying, "Hey, this will help," because that's what they're trained
yes,
to do for the most part.
it's
Yeah.
what they're
Yeah.
trained to do. And
Yeah.
I beat because I was in that machine and I
Yeah.
saw how that system worked and I saw how our healthcare system is really a sick
Yeah.
system. I said, you know what? I need to get out of this rat race and this hamster wheel. I don't want to be like these folks that are just
Mm.
subservient to pills and needles. I want to be natural and healthy. So I stuck it out, right? We got this American mindset of immediate gratification. Amazon now,
Yeah.
it's immediate, it's quick, Snapchat, TikTok. I said, you know what?
Yeah.
I need to do this the right way. And it worked. And because of that, we started Adapt My Health, which is literally trying to teach people the right way to approach your health. And it's been a journey. And you can tell I'm really passionate about it because you talk about it. It's like with investing, it's immediate gratification is a cancer in this society.
Yeah. And it's causing cancer, like literally, like you were saying. And it
Yes.
is. I had a similar story. Not as extreme, but when I started in the pharmaceutical industry, you drink coffee, you go to Starbucks, you had an expense account, you pick up coffees, you get one in the afternoon. I was drinking a lot of dairy. At lunch, I was eating sandwiches. I was drinking red wine, going out to dinner multiple
Yeah.
times a week. And I was putting all these inflammatory foods into my body: alcohol, wheat, sugar, dairy. And I was in great shape. I was running 10Ks at the time. I'd stopped racing, but I was lifting every morning before I'd go to work at 5:30, 6 a.m. with one of my business partners, my reps that we worked together. And I had like chronic sinusitis. So I went to see an ENT. He did a MRI, and he said, "Yep, we got to do surgery." And I was like, "Surgery? I've never had surgery. I've never broken a bone in my body. I had stitches. That was it." I was like, I'll be damned if I'm having surgery if I don't have to. So I started to do some research, and I was like, well, it's inflammation based. I cut out bread. I cut out wheat, gluten,
Mm-hmm.
dairy, stopped drinking red wine, stopped drinking Diet Cokes in the afternoon. I
Mm-hmm.
went back to see him. I couldn't remember. I can't remember if it was 4 weeks or 8 weeks later. And he did another scan, and he said, "What did you do?" I said, I stopped. He's like, "I've never seen somebody." He's like, "You had like you were like scheduled for surgery. I don't understand how you did this." And it's, I think if we understand our bodies and we can, make those choices that are positive, as you've just exemplified, it can have, we have massive control over our health. So I love it. I know we kind of plan to talk about some different stuff here today than health, but I think this is so important. And what do you talk about because you have a podcast revolving around this as well now, right there?
Yeah. So, the brand is, it's just adaptmyhealth.com. It effectively what we do is, Dr. Lerner is a natural health practitioner. And we've got other folks that are on the team that believe of the same mindset that we believe in, that this natural approach to health. And a lot of people don't recognize and realize all those things that they do are causing their problems, and they can heal, not to have no. So a lot of people wouldn't draw the line to say, okay, it's in my nose, right? It's in my sinuses, but it's what I'm putting in my mouth that's causing that. Like they just assume it's something functionally wrong with their nose. So it's getting that message out. You're an example of an experience, and telling that story. We need to have you on our show to tell that story, because the more people that can hear that, the more people can heal naturally. Because the healthcare system, they make money off the pills, and like this, the surgeon gets paid to cut. I'm not knocking it, because there are people that need cut, there are people that need pills, but a lot of us don't. And but that's what we talk about. It's really changing the way you approach your health.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I think this is terrific, because if you look at the way that you and I and Dr. Lerner approach health, it's actually very similar to the challenges that we face today in this country when it comes to finances. Everybody's taught, go get a good job, make a lot of money, put money in your 401k, trust the stock market, you go to see a financial advisor. It's not a lot different than going to see a doctor who doesn't understand some of these basic principles. And again, this isn't a knock against doctors. I know we have a lot of medical professionals that listen, and we have the best surgeons in the world in this country. We have the best doctors in the world. But if you go and your doctor's unhealthy and overweight, and you go and you ask your financial advisor, are you financially independent? And they say, well, no, I'm living beyond my means. I'm going to work till I'm 65. What's the difference? What's the difference? So not only do you have Adapt Health, you have Adapt Wealth as well, Derek. And then we have a lot of overlaps here. So tell us what inspired that, and what you talk about on that, what you do in that business.
Yeah, so Adapt My Wealth is, so it was awesome that Adapt My Health and Adapt My Wealth rhymed. Just want to make a note of that. We are coming out with Adapt My.
You are a marketing guy. We're coming out. You said we're coming off on what? Sorry, my apologies.
Adapt Myself, which is all about mindset.
Oh, wow. There we go.
Yeah. So we have three that all rhyme. It'll be great. But the idea with that is, very similarly to the experience that I went through health perspective, that motivated me to try to hopefully awaken some people to not go through what I went through. Right. It sucked. Right. It was not a good time. So,
your journey is way worse than me. I was running that 5K of my negative health, and you were running the Ironman triathlon of, I wasn't going to the bathroom on crutches. I can tell you that much.
It was bad. Yeah. I mean, I'd come back to bed, I'd start crying. I mean, it was just I never thought I'd get to that point. Yeah, it was terrible. But, and, I've gone through similar journey in my wealth, in that, I've made the dumb investments, a lot of them, Chris, more than I'd like to, a whole nother show to talk about that. I've made those mistakes through the journey of, investing in the wrong things, taking the wrong approach, not seeking out the right advice, and not having access to those opportunities. So, through self-discovery, through trial and error, and I think that's where a lot of folks are, why they create businesses, is because they're passionate about it. I've been able to turn that around, and very similar to the health journey, I wanted to create a vehicle on the wealth side to be able to, when people look at their entire portfolio of their life, if you have your health and your wealth and your mindset and spirituality all in check, you're going to live a pretty good life, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes
Yeah.
it takes us to be salty old guys like us before screwing up so many times. But we can take the lessons we've learned and be able to create a product that people can all benefit from. And that's what really Adapt is about. It's about creating a community for people to go to that want to ask questions about investing across any type of asset class, not just stocks or just real estate or just this, very similar to what you've developed, and be able to have a place to go to feel safe to say, hey, I don't know about this. Like, what about this? What about that? And try to take people through that journey to better, wealth and freedom. So I just want to make people happier and wealthier at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. And they're so intertwined. And this brings us to kind of another thing that I think you and I have kind of shared, which is, you master your health. You go through these challenges, you master your health, you're in good health, you have financial success. And for different people, that's different things. But whether you're running your business that's successful or whether you hit a passive income goal that's successful. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, Derek, is as you exited the corporate world, and you've hit this point where you're kind of firing on all cylinders in a lot of ways. What motivates you to continue to push and drive and strive? As we record this, we're about to click into a new year. This is going to be 2023 when this airs. But what do you do on a regular basis to continue to motivate, to push yourself, and inspire you and your team to reach higher levels today?
That's a great question. That's a complex question because there's a lot of things there. Having gone through an experience personally where both in my health and my wealth and my spirituality, or we'll call it my relationships, I've had epic failures, right? I've had epic success, epic failure. And so I've seen both ends of that spectrum. And having climbed out of a hole from each one of those areas, it touched me personally, right? It stung me. I saw what the rock bottom of all of those can look like, and it's not fun. And I have a genuine love for human beings and for humanity and for people. And I have this burning desire through my own experiences to help people not go through that, and to see things, see the brick wall before the train hits it, right? So they can start taking the steps and start changing now. So the brand is Adapt, right? So those who are watching, it's Adapt is my brand. So I've got everything is Adapt. I wear these Adapt shirts all over the place, mainly because I can write them off, but it is also it's something that I'm passionate about. And if you can see, if you're watching and you can see the logo, there's an A, but it also there's a Y that's hidden inside of it. Yeah. So, and the original Adapt brand is still the original Adapt, was Adapt You. So it's all about becoming the absolute best version of yourself. So what motivates me is to always be the absolute best version of myself to everyone around me, and providing the most value to my friends, my family, and people in business. And so I'm constantly motivated to invest in myself, to fill my glass. I'll pull the pint up again. So if that's full, then it's overflowing, and then it gives me the opportunity to motivate other individuals around me to be better, to be stronger, to be faster, fitter, healthier, all of that stuff. And so that's what really motivates me, is the opportunity to take other individuals and be a resource to them through my own experiences, and try to make an impact. At the end of the day, it's probably that. It's just trying to make a difference, trying to make an impact, and to be rewarded along the way for it, for that journey.
Well, it shows. We've gotten to know each other through business here, Derek, and now a friendship as well. And I love that you've gotten to share some of the experiences that you've had on the show today. But you haven't mentioned, what's the best place for people to listen to your podcast, to learn more about you? Also mention Adapt Media, if you will, as well. So if anybody's listening and says, hey, wait a minute, like there's this other business that Derek has that's phenomenal too.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So I got too many websites to list. So, but it's simple. If you are interested in, progressing in the area of health, we have adaptmyhealth.com, and there are free challenges on that website. They're completely free to help people, take these challenges to really help spark and initiate change. I want to create businesses that help people adapt and change. So Adapt My Wealth is just adaptmywealth.com. Same thing. There's opportunities for people to learn and to get involved in the investment community and change their portfolio and their income and their wealth. And then lastly, Adapt Media Agency. So the engine kind of behind it all is a marketing firm. So it's Adapt Media Agency. We build a lot of brands in health and wealth. That's kind of our forte. So it's adaptmediaagency.com is where you can find me there.
Awesome. Derek, thank you so much, my friend. Look forward to talking more about saunas and cold plunges here offline, and some things about diet. But it's been awesome having you sharing your story with the audience today.
Chris, I appreciate the opportunity, man. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Hey, Chris here again. I hope you found this episode valuable. Now, I have one more thing to gift you. We have a page for my coaching clients where you can get a free copy of my book, as well as much more from previous guests on the show. Just check out nextlevelincome.com/coaching to get a free copy of my book, audiobook, and much more. I'll send you a copy of my book and cover all the shipping costs as a thank you for listening to the podcast. Also, please like, share, and take just 90 seconds to give us a rating on Apple Podcasts.